It is the wonderful Monday morning. I've actually been up since 3, but of course, for many of you, you're just now waking up. But I wanted to have you guys join me this morning, but I didn't want the camera on me because actually, this particular live video is about you. So this is very, very relaxing. We're just going to be in gratitude this Monday morning, and we're going to relax and think about some things that I think a lot of times we don't realize. You know, in the current times, there's a lot of upset, there's a lot of dysfunction, pain, back and forth, arrogance, ignorance, violence. I mean, I can go on and on. But today, regardless of all of that, I want us to think about the soul abandonment. Now, if you're not a part of my Patreon, this is going to seem a little new to you. It's not going to be familiar. But if you are a part of my Patreon family, then you're aware of the Zen for SoulAbandon. And the reason why I'm wanting to touch base on the abandonment or the feelings of abandonment is because it's very essential that we come to an understanding of why in some of our reactions or even our feelings do we do certain things. It's not easy to face, but it is definitely something to think about. So today I'm going to talk about the inflated ego. Now listen, I know that a lot of people, if we think about how people have been, I don't know, just back and forth with conceitedness, or they're so beyond what they should be in their mind about who they are, and we'll realize that, good morning, Daniel. We should realize that, you know, inflation and ego comes from something. So I want us to just think about that for a minute. We oftentimes criticize or become opinionated or we judge people, but we aren't oftentimes thinking about why certain things are happening or why even we ourselves are acting out the way we do. So in order for me to make a difference on the planet, I'm going to have these moments to where we can zen the soul abandonment. We can become aware of it and come to terms with it, and then come out of it being more free of feeling so hurt. So let's first start off with, what is the inflated ego perspective in my terminology? Why do I say someone may have an inflated ego? Well, when I bring up about the inflated ego, it's not about, oh, they're conceited or oh, they're big-headed. An inflated ego just means that the ego is not in proportion to the actual soul enlightened being that they are. So what I mean by that is it takes time to create ourselves in our higher level of self. But oftentimes when we have been hurt, harmed, abused, mistreated, neglected, a lot of times we'll feel as though we cannot be at a point in life where we can feel a freedom of being who we are. So this comes from the fact that when we were young, we may have felt left out. And being left out is a very common feeling as a young person, especially if you're not feeling seen or you're feeling overlooked or dismissed. And when that happens, something very subtle inside happens to us that we may not be aware of. And that means we start to feel like we have got to come up with a plan to protect ourselves, to come up with a plan to figure out a way to reduce this inconsistent feeling of dread. So what this means is the ego will then inflate. The ego will then turn up inside itself and say, I am bigger than this. I am better than that. And it isn't a truth they're coming from. It's from the revenge of feeling left out. It's from the revenge of feeling dismissed or the revenge of feeling overlooked that causes this to happen. It doesn't grow from confidence or from a yielding actual alignment of being in your higher self, but it comes from the actual hurt of someone overlooking you or someone feeling like they haven't been treated well. And in that mistreatment, we begin to come to a point where we're like, you know what? I'm not going to allow this anymore, so I'm going to become bigger than life. Please say hello, share this video, become subscribed, because I never know what I'm going to do. I didn't plan on sharing my meditation this morning with YouTube, but I got moved to do so. So please share who you are. Come on in, you are definitely invited to understanding some reasonings behind people being a little inflated in their ego. And when they are inflated in their ego, it's usually because they are deficient in their self-loving. And we'll get to that in a minute. So let me just say that the quote unquote bigger than life energy isn't strength. It's a shield for unhealed abandonment. I'm going to say that again. When someone acts as though they're bigger than life but haven't really done any work, good morning, good morning. So glad you're here. I'm from Ohio and it's freezing. I'm from Ohio. Hello, hello, come on in. We're talking about inflated egos this morning. I wasn't planning on going live on YouTube, but hey, we're going to discuss this because it's very important. So when a person has I am bigger than life ego, but they really haven't done the inside work or the inside job or the real internal healing that's necessary to become higher in yourself, they begin to get this arrogant way of being, which is what we call conceited or big-headed or whatever. And so because that happens, it happens because that is a shield, and that shield is for them feeling abandoned and not feeling seen. So when you come from this place, life often has a series of disappointments. Nothing in life seems like it's enough. Let me just also express that they also have a life where nothing seems to last. What does that mean? There's also a lot of short-term relationships. There's a lot of back and forth with friendships. You're not really close with family this week. You're close with family next week. Then you're not. You're in and out, back and forth. This is where you are showing that your ego is out of pocket and it's not matching who you are or what your true, honest soul is in reflection of. And that is because you haven't taken the time to do soul practices that will help to encourage your betterment and your higher self. Okay? Now, Nothing seems like enough, and every interaction seems to carry a all for nothing weight. What does that mean? When you're in relationships, you always want to say it's all or nothing. Are you with me or not? What are we? Are we together? What are we doing? All of that is coming from an inflated ego. And also what it's coming from is the sadness and the unhealed abandonment that you dealt with from your past. Okay? So I want you to understand that this is coming from your past hurt that you have not faced or dealt with. Okay? Now, this isn't arrogance. So I want to make that clear. This isn't arrogance. What it is it's self-love deficiency. Yes, we can become deficient in self-love. And oftentimes it's because we do not practice self-loving very well, because we haven't been taught to love ourselves. Self-loving becomes a journey inwardly through practicing and feeling like there's something going on with me that I need to learn about. And that knowledge of self helps to induce more practicing of self-loving. Now, the first step, and I'm going to give this to you this morning on Monday. Share this video. Tell me where you're from. Say hello. Be sure to subscribe. The first step in shifting out of an inflated ego or self-love deficiency and changing this pattern is by first noticing that the ego has a voice in your inner soul. That voice, my love, is what urges you to overcompensate. You'll feel an urge to control situations, dominate. So when you feel like you're wanting to dominate or you want to feel this urgency to control, that is coming from your ego calling in your soul and spirit to overcompensate. When you feel that urge to do that, please pause. Ask yourself something very simple. Am I showing up from love in this scenario, or am I defending a wound from the past? This will help you to stop feeling overwhelmed, feeling underappreciated, and feeling unseen. Okay? Do realize that when you feel unseen or underappreciated, and you have felt in the past abandoned, this, my love, is going to skyrocket your desire to overcompensate your control and dominating in scenarios. This is where that comes from. Now, how do we heal this? Well, first of all, we have to be able to acknowledge it's there. So what you want to do is you want to find out what your soul signals are. Where are you in this thinking, in this process? It's very important to sit down and relate to it and feel it and consider that, oh my goodness, some of this healing work is coming from me not understanding that I have work to do. And then being willing to put yourself before someone else for the first time in your life. Many times we put everyone else first. We study our lovers, we study our children, we study our family, our friends, but we never take the time to study our own soul. What is going on inside? Why is my self-worth so out of balance? Why am I constantly feeling worthless? Well, it's because the healing it takes, it will require you to commit to it. It doesn't just happen. Loving yourself and healing the old abandonment issues doesn't just happen. It takes real commitment and discipline to focus on healing it. This is what it is. So the Zen for Soul Abandon teaches us that being seen and loved starts with seeing and loving ourselves. Ladies, I'm speaking to you really quick. I know how much you desire love. You desire to be in a relationship. You desire to have a romantic affair. Gentlemen, I know you desire intimacy. You desire to be with a woman or women that are going to bring you to your higher selves. However, regardless of you ladies getting in a relationship or you gentlemen having consistent intimacy, is going to first require for you to realize that the Zen for the soul abandonment has to first be dealt with yourself. Because no matter what relationship you get in, I don't care if it's a relationship in love or a relationship with your kids, a relationship with your friendships, you go with you, no matter what. You must begin to sit down in it and focus on what is it that I need to work on so that I understand, oh, this is what I have to do in order to prioritize getting serious about my abandonment issues. Being a coach, do you know how many people will sit in front of me and tell me they have abandonment issues, but never, ever, ever say, I've been working on trying to transform my issues, because they don't realize that this is a weight you're carrying from years and years ago, to the point where it's not even in front of your current memory, but it is something that rises in your soul signals. Because when that trigger or situation, or you feel someone's not seeing you or acknowledging you or allowing you to speak, those type of issues come up. And when those come up, that soul signal rises up. And now we have to come up with, well, how did I get here? Well, you got there because you don't realize how important it is. In order to love ourselves, we must first acknowledge that we have work to do. And then once we learn that we have work to do, we also must sit down and realize that abandonment issues don't just go away. They lay inside the soul very, 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 very silently. And they only come to surface when something triggers that abandonment to show up again. So, we must learn, in order to love ourselves, we have to take off the armor of the false ego. So when you're talking about your ego being false, what that means is your ego is inflated and does not match who your soul really is. Because what you've done is, because you've had so many experiences of feeling unseen, what has happened is you have now decided, well, since I'm unseen, I'm going to fix you. I'm going to show you that I am special, that I am important. And you do that by inflating inside yourself that you're bigger than you are. But that's not how you actually make a comeback from feeling unseen, or from feeling unheard, or coming to a space of feeling like, you know what, I've had enough of just tolerating someone not being appreciative of who I am. You do that by recreating yourself and becoming more drawn to learning how to love you. And the way to do that is by beginning a journey of taking the time to learn about yourself. The problem is many of us don't really realize the power of loving self. It's so important. But you don't realize how to do it. The first way to learn how to love yourself is to get to know yourself. You have to start having a relationship with you. Why are you not taking the time to truly, honestly sit down and learn about yourself? Learn about what your needs are. Consider that all that you've ever done and ever have created in life comes from you. But a lot of times we never step outside of ourselves, to see how we matter, what we get, how we get it, how people react when we're there, and more importantly, how are people describing our absence when we're not there. You ever come to a place where you happen to, we'll just say you go to Starbucks every Wednesday, and as soon as you show up, everybody lights up and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm so glad to see you. I knew you were coming today. You're such a light. I'm so glad to see you. I'm happy you're here." If you have those types of interactions, that's because you have made an impact on how people have responded to who you are. But oftentimes when we get these type of compliments or type of feedback where people say, "I just love you. When I come around, you're just so awesome. You make me feel so much better. I can have a down day and you're so awesome," and this and that, and "Oh my goodness, I'm so glad you're here." But we'll just downplay it like, "Oh, thank you. I'm glad you're happy I'm here, but at the end of the day, it's just me. I'm just here." Don't downplay that. When someone tells you that they're happy you're there, that means when you walk away and leave, you're talked about how your presence makes a difference. This is not an inflated ego. This is understanding that your presence makes a difference and has a very good impact just by being who you are. And so I'm welcoming you to start to honor the feedback when people tell you that they love your presence. Start to really hear that and receive it. When someone sits there and says, "Oh my God, I'm so glad you're here," stop just overlooking it and shrugging your shoulders and say, "Oh, it's just me." Actually receive it. Listen to it. Acknowledge it. Be in gratitude. Because in this state of time right now, many people are so dreadful. They're so saddened. They're so isolated that when someone comes in their space and they're starting to see, "Oh my gosh, I matter." Yes, you do. And because you matter, you want to acknowledge how much power that is and how much that holds weight, because we oftentimes don't. So in closing, I'm glad you were here today. I'm glad you spent some time with me. I want you to realize that abandonment issues don't just up and walk away out of your life. Abandonment issues become more worrisome through the lens of life when you really don't acknowledge that they're there, unfortunately. And so I challenge you to consider doing this in your journal today. A reflection about your ego. Because remember I had explained earlier that when we have an inflated ego, it usually speaks to us first. And your ego can tend to speak louder than your heart, unfortunately. So what I want you to do is I want you to journal today the situations where your inflated ego energy shows up. What does that feel like? So imagine, someone is you're in a business meeting, and your hand has been raised for a while, and you're never picked, or someone else is picked and others, or everybody else is being chosen, and you're sitting there like, my hand has been up for a while and you're not acknowledging me. Imagine that as a scenario. In your journal, I want you to ask why you felt not just neglected, but you felt an undeniable amount of dread in your spirit, to where it felt overwhelming, to where you felt unseen. Why did you feel that? And then once you answer that question as to why, then I want you to ask yourself, what is my ego protecting me from? And then how can I give myself what I needed then when I wasn't chosen? What didn't I receive in that time and space? What did I not get? Because I'm going to tell you something. In answering that question, it will definitely help you to feel much more powerful. You'll feel much more appreciated. A lot of times we don't realize that when someone doesn't choose us, or if we feel like someone's being a little cold towards us, or someone is ignoring us or not acknowledging us, we don't realize that that definitely will rise a soul signal inside our spirit to where we feel unseen, and then we feel neglected. And when we feel neglected, we can get very upset. Not only upset, we can get very frustrated. Share this video. There's someone in your family, or someone in your friends list, or someone that is dealing with abandonment issues. As a coach, I see it more times than I wish I did. Many people are struggling with dealing with feelings of abandonment. But also, because of that feeling of abandonment, the only way they know how to deal with it is they create an inflated ego, not realizing that inflating your ego is now not matching who your soul, your living soul, truly is. And now you have people not really seeing your authentic self. So now they're treating you very differently. And a lot of times when they don't think that you're authentic, people will begin to not trust you. This is why I'm telling you it's important to pay attention to why self-love and understanding that this deficiency can cause people to not feel really comfortable or feel like they really know you, because what they're feeling is a false ego, and they're trying to figure out, well, why is this person being false? What are they hiding? Trust me, if you have any questions or you need to get a hold of me, you can call my number at 844-5-WISDOM, extension 0. You can join my Patreon. My Patreon is under Carla Nicole. You can become a member for free, $1, $3, or $11 or $7. When you are dealing with soul abandonment, you will find that it is so essential to really do the work and commit to it. Don't half-ass it. Do it for real. I hope you enjoy your Monday. Go back and listen to this again. You don't have to watch. You can just listen. Because sometimes we heed better when we just listen. That is why the camera is not on me this morning. I decided to make it just about the meditation, about the candles, about the light, about the reducing yourself from the headache and being more okay with being who you are. coming to terms with your inflation of your ego is because you have some unhealed work to do. When you're ready, you can call me, 844-5-WISDOM. Have a great Monday.